Welcome to Tech Notice, my friends. In this video, I'm going to show you what to do after you have built the PC. Very often you can see a PC building guide or video editing PC guide on YouTube, but after you have built this, 50% of the build is actually configuring the software, installing all the Windows and applications and drivers, and configuring the BIOS and all that sort of jazz. So in this video, you're going to be learning all of that. Just to mention, this is the part 2 of this build video. So if you want to see how the hardware has been built, then feel free to check that out in the description below, or I'll link it up, up there, so you can check that out, as well as all the chapters in below. They will come very helpful for you if you want to come back to a video. How did you do that certain part again? Feel free to check the chapters below. Lastly, I want to mention that all the links for everything that you see on this PC or the specs are linked below. So if you want to build this exact PC and you feel like, do you know what, these videos actually, do you know what, I can actually build this after watching this video, then feel free to check the link in the description below and purchase these parts. Now, at this point of making this video, there's a little bit of a shortage of parts in the world. When the things are in stock, you can build this PC as well. Let's start configuring the software so you'll see how this will be the end result. Let's go.
Artlist is an affordable way to license all the music you need for your projects. Whether it's personal, commercial, TV, podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, you get the point. You name it, it's covered. No more worrying if your music licensing covers your project. One worldwide license that covers it all. Oh, and that's not all. Artlist also includes tons of sound effects, and the music is updated daily, so you never run out of choice. If you're wondering, how did I get all these nice shots of B-roll? Well, it's called Artgrid, a site similar to Artlist but for video. Artgrid can provide all the stock footage you need, from HD to 8K profile formats, log or graded, to assure that it can be personalized and fitted to your current project. And Artgrid works the same as Artlist, one worldwide license that covers it all. So it's simple, choose the license that you need and that fits your budget, and enjoy the unlimited downloads without any extra cost added. Get 2 extra months for free when you join Artgrid or Artlist through the links provided. Check out Artlist and Artgrid in the video description below.
So what you're going to need for this build is a Windows 10 USB install disk that you can create yourself for free. If you haven't seen my video how to do that, click up there and you can easily create one of these for free. It's very easy. You're going to need a keyboard and mouse, obviously, and then a monitor, or some sort of a monitor, so you can see what you are doing. What we're going to need to do first is plug in the power, obviously, in over there. And then we're going to need a HDMI cable, We're going to plug that into the graphics card port over here. So do not plug it into the motherboard, because the motherboard has like HDMI and DP in as well over there. Don't do that. We're going to use this one over here. And then you're going to need the keyboard and mouse. I have wireless keyboards and mouse over here, and I'm going to just put them on the top. Now, after that, you need to plug that power in. I had it in before already. That's my fault. I should have done that. Turned in. And then now we're going to see if there's any lights light up on the motherboard. Not in our case. Also, before you're going to turn on the PC, make sure that everything has been plugged in, especially the ports for the CPU power over there, and then the motherboard power, and then everything that's plugged in on the pump over here, because you don't want your CPU to be running without the pump on over there. Once everything has been, plugged in, let's hit the power button and see what happens. Now it's going to take a little bit of time for the system to configure itself, because it's just going to check what hardware is there and things like that. As you can see over there, that light over there is going through different parts, and there's different codes on the motherboard going. So just let it do its job. Then after a while, it's going to start to figure out if it can boot it, but because we don't have any boot drives in there or any boot options, it's not going to boot it. It's going to, some kind of picture is going to come up. So Hopefully we can see that picture come up soon, but you're just gonna have to wait until the computer does its job over there. So what you wanna do then is either press delete, hit delete on your keyboard if you get through this boot menu, or if you're gonna get stuck onto AE code over there, then you just restart it again, because that just shows you to go into the boot option. But we should just be hitting delete key, and then we should have it over there. Let's have a look. So when you turn the PC on, just start hitting delete, and then you're going to be greeted with this boot menu over here. And this is what's called the BIOS over here. And we can see that, you know, our systems are running. You can see that our CPU over here is Ryzen 9 5900X 12 core. BIOS version is the F13A that we updated before. 64 gigs of RAM. Look, it's all looking good. We have 2 SSDs installed as well here, 1 and 2. That's absolutely perfect. Let's have a look at the PCIe slots over there. There is 2 things occupied, as you can see. 4.0 4 times 8, that's the top one over here, and then the one underneath over there is 3.0 times 2. So that's everything is connected. Now all you have to do now is use your Windows installed disk or the USB stick that you just created, okay? And then we are just going to plug it in the back over there, right? The USB stick is in. All you're gonna have to do now is save and exit over there, which is F10. I'm gonna hit F10, save and exit, yes. It's gonna reboot the system. Now, hopefully it's gonna recognize our Windows install drive over there and straight away bring us to the Windows install system over there. Let's have a look. Is it gonna do that? Yeah. Can you see those Windows circles circling around over there? That means our USB install disk worked. So now this is how you install Windows. You know, choose which country or where you're from. We're gonna go install now. If you don't have the Windows key, you just click I don't have a product key and you can go next. Choose which one do you want to install. Windows 10 Pro is like the standard for me always. Accept the terms, next. You wanna custom install it, not upgrade. You wanna custom install. And now there is 2 drives over there. One is 931 gigabytes, and then one is this one. To be honest, it is really hard to know now which one is which drive. So I'm guessing that the drive 0 is the top drive, and then the drive 1 is the bottom drive, which is 953 gigabytes. But what we're gonna do is I'm actually going to turn it down. I'm gonna pull out my USB stick. Now when it's off, I'm going to turn it off from behind there. And what we're going to do is actually, at the moment, I could make a mistake, right? I want to make sure that I know which drive is which. So I'm going to pull out this M.2 drive over here. Then I know that only one is going to be installed, and then I know which one is going to make the difference. So you can't just leave it like that. You're just gonna have to unplug it completely. Gonna plug it back in, restart, make sure USB is back in there. One of the top SSDs is out. We don't want to pull the other one underneath out, because it's not as easy to actually configure underneath, because you have to just pull the graphics card out, but the top one we can easily plug out. And then now on the Windows install thing, we can see 2 drives, 1 drive there now, and I'm just gonna see which drive is it. So I'm just gonna pop next, install now. So now I know that the bottom drive is 953 gigabytes. Okay, just remember that, 953.9 gigabytes. I'm gonna turn that off. We're gonna reinstall our drive. Make sure your power supply is off. We're gonna turn it back on. Make sure your USB stick is in the back over there. And then we're gonna go back to the Windows options over there and start installing. Custom. Remember, 953 was the bottom one, and the top one is this one. So I was right, drive 0 is the top one, and then drive 1 is the bottom one. So we're gonna go to the drive 0, because that is the top drive with faster speeds. And then now it's gonna start installing Windows. So let's wait for it to be done. Now the Windows has just restarted itself. Now it's gonna load back into the Windows, and our Windows should be installed. And that's how easy the Windows installation was. But there is a few more things that we kind of need to do. It's still doing and getting things ready. Follow the instructions. It's basically pretty simple. If there's a yes and no answer, I usually say no. If you have internet, obviously connect to the internet as well, but I wouldn't do it right now. I'd say I don't have internet because it's just gonna skip a few things that you can do later on. Continue with limited setup, yes, so you don't have to sign into your Microsoft account if you want. So who's gonna be using this PC? Choose your security questions and answers. Like, I never usually need them, but just in case you need them, just do that. Don't use speech recognition, no. Send required, nope, nope, nope. So just say no to everything. Not now, and there we go. Now there's last few little things it's gonna do and set up for us. While we're waiting for this, you can actually open this AIO like that by twisting it anti-clockwise, you know, like you opening a screw. And then I'm just gonna switch out this whatever logo that is there in the front. So you just can pop it out, and I'm gonna replace it with an empty one because I want it to be minimal without any logos or anything like that. Plug it back in. There we go. Oh, I like that. And boom, we are on Windows. So now one of the first things I like to do is get yourself connected to the internet. Now, in order to do that, and in order to get a better connection, if you don't have a wired connection, if you have wired connection, obviously it's always more stable and better. But we're gonna pull out our PS5. You'll see that in a moment. Look at this. This Wi-Fi antenna is so cool. Look at that. It just looks like my own little PS5. So I'm just gonna plug that one in there. So we're gonna get better signal. But basically, connect yourself to the internet. How you connect this is very, very simple. In the back of the motherboard, there are two little screw-inable, I think they're coax cables or mini coax. Not sure what the exact name is. These two cables on the back of the motherboard, as you can see, it doesn't matter which goes to which, just plug it in there and then kind of screw it in all the way down. And then now, boom. Make sure you pull out your USB Windows install disk now, once the Windows is installed, because you don't want Windows to think or to load the Windows install disk all the time when you're rebooting the drive. So now I'm just gonna connect to the internet. Once you're connected to the internet, I'll show you what I'm gonna do every single time I'm getting this or setting up a new PC. You wanna go for updates, check for updates, right? Let the Windows check the updates and start installing the latest updates and everything on this, because there's a lot of updates probably to do. So have a look, it's gonna find some updates in a moment. Look at that. There's loads, and believe me, once we have installed them, there is loads more. While it's doing that, what I'm gonna do is clean the Windows while it's doing that. So I don't want this mail, I don't want the Microsoft Store. In fact, we're gonna open the Edge first time because we need to download Google Chrome. Google Chrome download. Google Chrome download now. Okay. There we go. Okay, there we go. Once Google Chrome has been installed, you can sign into your, already account if you have that, and then it's gonna sync all the passwords and things. But I wanna get rid of unpin from this, and then I'm gonna pin this to taskbar so I can have Google Chrome on the bottom over there. Then go to something called defaults. Choose default web browser over here. Yep, you click on that, and then we're gonna choose Google Chrome. Switch anyway. So the default web browser is going to be Google Chrome. You can also set other default, applications there if you want. Then another thing I want to do is set up a pin sign-in, because that is going to be much faster. Windows Hello Pin. Just set up your pin. So just do this. You need to have the password first, and then do a pin, because using a pin to sign in is going to be much faster whenever you do restarts and things like that, especially now because we're going to do it over and over and over again. It's just going to be much faster when you do it that way. Pin it has been done. Let's have a look how the updates are going. It's just downloading and doing loads of stuff. So while it's downloading that, we want to install our drivers and things like that. Usually it's better to wait while the Windows updates to the latest version, because sometimes the drivers are according to the Windows. You want your operating system to be the latest version and then update the drivers over there, but we can get ready for that. So to get ready, we're gonna go to Gigabyte B550 Vision D, and we need to go to Gigabyte's website. At the same time, go for GeForce Experience. Some people say they don't like GeForce Experience. I haven't had any issues with it, so I don't really mind GeForce Experience. It's just easy way to update all your drivers for your graphics cards. So let that GeForce Experience download there while we are here. So this is B5 Vision, so our motherboard page now over there. And then we are going to go to support on the support tab. It's gone off because it's found some newer drivers for our graphics card. So look, our picture looks a little bit more better now. GeForce Experience, let it just install as well. While you're there, let it just install in the background because you need that. It's just going to take some time to do that. But what we want to download over here is the App Center. We want the App Center to be installed. It says PC restart required. We're not going to restart it yet because we just want to install them. Install as many updates at the same time before you restart this, because we're going to need to restart it a few times. So that's it. So GeForce Experience at the moment, agree and install. It says restart required to configure some stuff. Just let it see if you can install anything else on the Windows updates. Let it install as many things as possible so it can get done with as least amount of restarts as possible. So if you don't have a GeForce account already, just create it. If you already have it, you can just sign into it. Okay, now you can see that it can't install anything else. Actually, it's still installing here. So let me see if it installs, and then we're gonna see the restart, pending restart. Once you're on the GeForce Experience, you go to this drivers tab on the top right. And then what we're gonna choose is Studio Driver, because this is for video editing. It's best to use Studio Drivers because it's more optimized, more stable for, you know, your creative applications. So make sure that on these three dots, you're gonna choose Studio Driver, and then we're gonna download that and install that graphics driver. While we have downloaded the App Center from the motherboard, we're just gonna go there and extract all, just extract next to it, and it's gonna open it for ourselves. We're gonna have set up and install that. The fans are really loud right now, so they definitely need to be configured. Look, as you can see, it's still installing some stuff here on the Windows update. So I'm gonna let it install as many stuff as possible, and then I'm gonna update it. So our GeForce Experience driver is almost done downloading over there. We're gonna come back to that in a moment. So App Center was installed, so let's have a look. Launch App Center, there we go. So we're gonna launch that App Center, which is Gigabyte's App Center. I don't know, while it's launching that, we got this experience, GeForce Experience. Custom installation, yes, absolutely. HD physics system driver. So as you can see, the graphics card is like that. Always click this one, perform a clean installation. So we don't want old drivers there and new drivers, always the latest drivers. Perform a clean installation, install, and then let it install that. So that graphics card is in the background over there. So where is our App Center? Here it is. And on the Gigabyte App Center, you can see on the top right corner over there, there is a live update. So when you click on that, what that basically does is gonna find all the system hardware and things that needs for update. So let's have a look. As you can see, there is loads. We don't want third-party software. No, make sure not on internet security. Don't install any internet security unless you do some real dodgy stuff. You don't need it. Google Chrome, we already have that. Google Toolbar for Internet Explorer, don't need that. It's just going black because it's installing stuff in the background. We don't need CPU Z is a nice one. Install that one. CPU Z, don't need that. Let's have a look what else is ticked over here. Game Boost, RGB Fusion, sure. Smart Backup, don't really need that. Game Boost, no, don't need that. SIV, System Information View, yeah, that's fine. On off charge, yeah, leave that one on. Easy Tune, you can do that one as well. So these are all good stuff to install. Now new drivers, there's Bluetooth drivers, network drivers, and Thunderbolt software. We all need that. So we're gonna just click install now once it has done that. So it's gonna install some new drivers over there as well. Now our graphics card says, our studio driver says we need to restart that. So let this Gigabyte stuff install all that stuff as well. So as you can see, our Windows is now pending restart. So we need to restart that in a moment. While these things are installing over there, what I want to get ready is also go to Store. So Microsoft Store. And what we want to do is install Cinebench. These are just like apps that I'm always installing for like benchmarking things. You don't have to actually sign in, so no thanks. And now it's gonna say, oh, install. You don't actually need to do that. So it's gonna install now. We want Cinebench, and there's another thing we want. We want hardware monitor. There we go. Here's setup English and download now. That is a very good thing to get in order to check your hardware information and all that sort of jazz. The fan curves are really bad right now because these top fans are just constantly ramping up. Let's install the hardware monitor because that is a good thing to have. Create the desktop icon, sure, for now. Okay, that's done. Okay, BIOS updates. I don't think there is any updates, so this is finished. So once this is done, let's restart now. The PC is restarting and it's going to do the Windows updates and the graphics card updates. We still need the chipset driver and then we are pretty much sorted. While we're here, we can actually put the filter back to the top. Like that, I believe. Okay, we've got the dust filter on the top, back on Windows. See how easy it is to go back into your system, and then let's put that back over here as well. So top is back. Okay, we are back on Windows. As soon as you're back on Windows, go back to updates, check for updates, retry. It's gonna check for updates again. It says you're up to date, click it again. Optional updates, driver updates, no, check for updates. Are you saying that we are all up to date? It might be. We're gonna go back to the launch app center because we just want to see if all the live update over here is actually done. Let's check if everything is updated. No third-party software, and nope, we don't want any of these. So it's all done. So last thing, well, one of the things we need is we're going to go to AMD's AMD drivers. It's just going to go AMD B550 drivers. So B550 drivers and software, Windows 10, AMD chipset drivers. And if you do any RAID or stuff with your SSDs or hard drives, you might want this as well. In our case, not really, but we do want the chipset driver. So we're gonna open this chipset driver. Okay, install all of them. I'm gonna put a hardware monitor on because these fans are kicking up and down all the time so much. So what is the temperatures here? Sitting nicely at about 43%. These fan curves are still a bit mental. We're gonna go to BIOS and configure them. But while we're here, we're going to go to Task Manager, more details, just so we see what on earth is happening over here. We can see our 12-core processor. Change graph to logical processors. Look, all your 24 threads. We have our RAM over here, but as you can see, this is not running at the right speed. We need to enable the XMP and unBIOS later on. And our NVIDIA RTX 3070, boom, here it is. We are startup. Let's have a look. What is going on startup? We don't need the OneDrive to come in there. Security notifications, nope. That audio driver, yeah, leave that one on. Okay, it needs a restart. And while we are restarting, we actually want to hit the delete as well as soon as we get there to go into the BIOS. Now when it's gone black, I start hitting delete because I want to go to the BIOS. We can go to easy mode, F2. It's like the easiest to do over here. As you can see, there is something called XMP. Just click on that profile one, 3600, 18, 22, 22, 68. So that's just our faster RAM speed over there. That is perfect. Now we're gonna go to smart fans over here. Over here, we're gonna see, look at this setup over here. This is mental. CPU fan. This is very slow mouse speed over there, but we're gonna try to make this work. So CPU fan, we're gonna go to manual so we can control this manually. So the CPU fan over there is the CPU.fan port over there, where we plugged in all of our 3 fans on the top over there. So look, it's going to go 100% at 64 degrees, which is absolutely mental. We want it to go 100% somewhere around like 84, but all the way till then, at the moment, about 40%. Let them be about 40% all the way till, so when we're hitting about 66, we're gonna start hitting the fan curves up like that, right? Let it be somewhere around 40%. When it's even 52 degrees, it's completely fine. When we're hitting 70, I wanna be somewhere about 60%. There we go, something like that fan curve. So it's gonna hit 100% of the fan speed when we are 83 degrees. So it's completely fine. It's hardly gonna hit that. As you can see at the moment, it is 30 degrees and fan speed is very low. So you can leave these all like disabled, don't need that, but the fan control temperature input over here is CPU, right? We want this CPU fan to be, you know, directly related to the CPU temperature over there, temperature interval 3. This one over here, the CPU fan control mode, this is something that I've found that can cause sometimes problems, and sometimes the motherboard just doesn't know which fan is which. So that is helpful to do. Now our CPU fan, so all of these 3 fans are 4-pin, which means they're PWM, 4, but PWM. So I want this to be PWM. If it is 3 pins, you know, in there, then it's voltage 1, and then we want it to tell you. So rather than the motherboard trying to figure this out, it's easier if you do that. Fan stop. So now CPU fan, I'm gonna put the fan stop as disabled. Let's go to CPU opt. So now this is where the pump is plugged in over there. Do you remember? Our pump from the AIO goes to CPU opt, which is the top part over there. Now CPU speed control, we're going to go manual, and because the pump is usually quite quiet, I'm gonna make sure that the pump constantly works at around 50%. Let's put it all to 50%, which is just gonna keep that CPU temperature down. And then now 60 degrees, let it go 100% at 65 degrees. It's fine because the pump doesn't make that much noise, but if it gets the liquid to go around, that keeps the liquid cooler and your CPU cooler. So I don't mind this to go around like that. So now the CPU opt over there, fan speed manual, temperature input is the CPU. Yeah, let it be the CPU. Temperature interval 3, control mode. Now this is a PWM because it is 3-pin, as you can see. And then CPU optional stop is disabled. So I'm gonna leave that disabled. So now let's figure out where our fans have been plugged in. So in here, system fan 5 over there on the top on the side, this is where one of those front fan is plugged in. So we're gonna go there first, fans and pump. What we're going to do is here, we're gonna go manual. So we're gonna make a fan curve over there. So hopefully this is one of the front ones. We're gonna make it run all the time at 40%. So when we're 60, we're about 50%. When we're 70, we're about 70. And then curve goes like that. Now, the cool thing is you can also apply the same setting or the same curve to some of the other fans in the port over here. And I can see that there is system fan 2 and system fan 4, which are here on the side, if you have plugged them in completely the same. So I'm gonna apply them not in here, but onto the 2, not 3, 4, 2 and 4. That's the only ones we want to. So 2 and 4, as you can see, boom, the same settings are gonna go there. Apply to 2 and 4. Manual, temperature, we're gonna put CPU temperature over there. So this is number 5. Number 5 I know is PWM. So now the only thing we want to go is system fan 2. It's got everything the same. Control input is system fan 1, which is no system 1. We want this to be CPU as well. And control mode, this is PWM as well because there's 3 pins plugged in over there. We're gonna leave that fan stop disabled. And then there is one last one, which is system fan 4 over there. We're gonna go this one to go CPU as well. and temperature interval auto, system control mode. I'm gonna leave that one to auto because that is actually the control box that goes into the back, and then the pins are laid out a little bit differently than usual 3-pin. So I'm just gonna leave that to auto. So there we go. So this is our system fans now configured. XMP is configured. Okay, so that should be on. What we're gonna hit is F10 or save and exit. It's gonna say, do you wanna make all these changes? Yes. We're gonna have our fan speed. Fan speed's normal, not ramping up again like the usual. Okay, so now when we are back in Windows, if you have any problems like it's stopped at any of the restart sessions or whatever, and just hit that power button again, let it restart again. Sometimes it just does that when it's installing things. We're gonna look at the performance now. Look at our RAM speed over here is 3600 megahertz, which is fine. Look, all of this is going great over here. Let's have a look what happens over here now. Very interesting. It could be the XMP profile for this RAM. Okay, I'm gonna leave the XMP off for now. See if that is the problem, because if that is, you might have bad sticks of RAM. There's some kind of problem with Windows, or you know, it's trying to repair it automatically, so let it do its job. Okay, it did some stuff. It's gonna restart again, so let's have a look. The worst thing about this is like when it seems like just something is scrolling and says loading, but you don't know if it's doing anything or not, but it always is kind of, because you're like, how long do I have to sit, because there's no loading bar, I don't know how long to wait. Okay, there we go, our system is back. What on earth happened over here now? Okay, so that was something very odd, because our Windows has gone back to previous things, so we need to do all the updates again because nothing is installed. I think is GeForce Experience. Okay, so look, all of our Windows updates have gone. Let it load there again, all the installation of these systems, you know, interrupt anything. But one thing is, remember we installed 2 disks, but if you go to like this PC, you can only see 1. So here's how you go and install the other one. You go to disk management or create and format hard disk partitions. As you go over here, it straight away asks you to initialize a disk. As you can see over here, disk 1, GPD, that's fine. We're gonna press OK. And then now you have here disk 1. This is the disk second. So what you have to do with this one is this black volume is basically, you have to tell it to, okay, become an SSD basically. So we're gonna select a simple volume. We have to create the volume. We're gonna assign it to, yeah, D is fine. We're gonna name it project drive. Okay, it's deleted a lot of the things over here on Windows. So we're gonna have to redo a lot of things, like get our Google Chrome back. So yes, we're gonna put this file system NTFS default perform quick format. We're gonna press next, finish, boom. And now when you see, boom, we have 2 drives, both of them installed. So let's see how well is our updates doing over here. I'm not gonna install anything else for now. I'm just gonna let it do its restart and restart the Windows updates and everything. Honestly, this has never happened to me before, to be honest, where you install everything and then the Windows crashes and then restores itself or repairs itself to like the original version without any updates. That's very odd. But it's just good to show you like these things as well, that it just isn't perfect all the time. But the point is to like figure out and troubleshooting, how does it work? How do you do it all? So here we go, it's restarting. So, okay, let's check all of the updates again. So let Windows do all its updates. We're gonna try again. Let it do all the updates. And how you put the installation key in is if you hit start button and go for activation settings. As you can see, no product key was found. What you can do is click that change product key and then type in your option over there. And once you have put in your code, there you go, your Windows has been activated. So let me just double check. There is all the updates over here. Do we have Cinebench? I have to install that again. Okay, basically, so we have to do everything again. The temperature over here, and then let's get Cinebench up. Benchmarks. I'm gonna put 10 minutes throttling and multi-core on, so we can see how the utilization over here goes straight away 100%. Just so we can see, it is roughly 4.3, 4.4 gigahertz over here running. CPU is 67 temperature. Let's have a look how it goes. As you can see, the fan curves that we did on Windows or in the BIOS are still working because the BIOS didn't reset. There was a problem in the Windows. So if you had a problem in the Windows, for example, and one of the apps that control the fans got deleted, then you wouldn't actually have this. But at the moment, our CPU is running at 100% utilization and the fans are quiet as if they're on idle. So that is what I like to usually do, to configure them in BIOS so that I don't have to wait for the app to load again. Look at this, it's sitting at 67C at 100% utilization and it's still clocking at 4.35 gigahertz, somewhere over there. That's really good. Look at that, that's not bad. This core clocked 4.9 gigahertz. 4.94 gigahertz. That's not bad, core. I think the maximum was actually 4.8, so this is not bad to see that clock over here. So I'm quite happy about this. As you can see, okay, we can look, it's just sitting 67C. That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. So now you know that if you're rendering, editing, and you're actually doing loads of things at once, your CPU is going to be very, very quiet. This bottom fan actually does quite a lot. I'm quite happy about that because I can feel how this bottom fan is actually pushing the cold air over here. Especially if I had a glass on, there will be more going through this, but these two will keep the GPU much cooler as well if you're doing a bit more exporting on the GPU. But honestly, I can stop this now because this is really, really, really good, and we're gonna do just one test. Let's see how well is it gonna do the multi-core. Look at these 24 threads rendering. Is that nice? Beautiful. Okay, 21,000. That is not bad. So I know that this is quite stable now because it's running like that, but remember our XMP is not enabled. So I want to make sure that this is what the problem is, or if it's not problem, because we haven't enabled that yet. We're gonna have to go back there. But I want to make sure that our graphics card, driver, and everything is up to date. So remember, we downloaded GeForce Experience. So if you have to do that again, we're just gonna open that. Microsoft, that should go in the bin. See you later. It's a bit odd that this has happened. This has honestly never happened to me before, that Windows crashes on the install and then kind of resets itself into some basic before version. But at least now you know what to do if it happens. Now, if you have an MSI motherboard, I find it so much easier to configure the drivers and things, because if you get the Dragon Center or Creator Center, the live update there, it gets everything. It gets even the chipset drivers, which this Gigabyte live update doesn't do, which is a little bit odd. I wish there was a little bit more straightforward, but all the rest of the stuff is quite okay. But the RGB Fusion and all the other things, they're all separate, which is, you know, okay, I guess it works. But so while this is in there, actually the SIV, I don't like that one. We're gonna uninstall that one because, where is our SIV here? Yeah. We're gonna uninstall that one because our fans have been configured through BIOS. So they're already done and we don't want anything else to intervene with that. There's a few things from Microsoft Store that you might want to download. One is Crystal Disk Mark. This is just an SSD test, and then no thanks. I want to install this app, and then we can do our benchmarks on the SSDs, make sure that the SSDs run at the perfect run over there, and then there we go. Crystal Disk Mark is installed. No, we're not going to do that now. We're going to do that later. That's done. We're going to custom installation again with NVIDIA. Always custom installation. So we don't want the physics system software and HD audio driver. We don't really need that either. So perform clean installation. This time we're going to just install graphics driver, and that's what we want. Okay, so Studio driver has been installed. Before I'm gonna do anything else, remove this from here. I'm gonna, okay, what on earth is happening? I'm gonna hit restart again. Restart that for one more time, see what happens. Okay, we're back on Windows now. I want to now do one more thing. We're gonna restart it one more time. So I know that this works on Windows now. We're gonna restart it, and I'm gonna apply the XMP for the memory, and then that should be the last thing that kind of is needed for this. So I'm hitting delete as soon as it goes dark, like so over here. Boom. Okay, let's put the XMP on. F10, save and exit, yes. Okay, now we're back on Windows. Just double checking that the memory speed is running 3600 megahertz. So we're gonna go and add or remove programs. Spotify, uninstall. We don't need that here because that's just gonna try to work as we're putting the Windows on. Xbox, uninstall. Xbox Live, I'm gonna uninstall as well. Don't need any of that. Okay, can't install that. Interesting. Now can you see that? It looks like our XMP for this RAM is not working at all. So we might need to, okay, if it's going there, I'm gonna go delete, disable the XMP profile, save and exit, see that again. Seems like we're gonna run into problems as soon as we hit the XMP profile on this, and that is very odd. It might mean that we have a dodgy RAM sticks, or we might need some other RAM sticks, but it's good to do this like troubleshooting now, so let's have a look. Let's hope that we're not like going back to some basic version before as well. No, it hasn't loaded correctly. I want to restart my PC and I don't want to repair it because it's going to restart and repair it back to normal. We don't want to do that. So let's make sure that this is the actual problem. We're going to restart it again. I'm going to put the XMP on there again and then see if there's going to be a problem over there. Hit delete. Okay, there we go. Yes, see it straight away stuck on this. Okay, I'm going to hit it off, and then yep, that's the problem. The XMP profile does not work. Disabled, save and exit, yes. Okay, there we are, back on Windows. So let me just pull up Cinebench, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna run the Cinebench multi-core benchmark for a second over here. Boom, 21,890. So we're gonna close that down, and I'm gonna do a little test and see if we can do this one over here. PC off, power off. I'm gonna switch the RAM sticks. We got our Viper off. And what I'm gonna use over here is T-Create by Team Group, create a RAM. Now this RAM is actually not even running at XMP profiles, but this should be running at 3200 megahertz at natural speeds or without the overclock profile, which should make it very stable and creator friendly. So let's get the Patriot Viper off, put these in now. To be honest, these fit in this build super nice. So let's see what's gonna happen now. Okay, back on Windows, as you can see. Let's have a look. Task Manager, performance 64 gigabytes installed, as you can see, and they're running at 3200 megahertz. Okay, so let's do Cinebench run, see if like our performance, remember 21,890 multi-core. Let's see what's gonna happen now. Okay, we're getting 21,000 less, about 800 points less. Let's check this out. Let's go again. Okay, have a look at this. 22,048. So we're getting much nicer even specs over here. Second time, let's have a look at one more run, see if that gives us any difference. 21,890. So we're getting the same speed with both of these RAMs. So now Cinebench R23 scores, and then online we can see CPU Monkey, for example, over here. Just find our process over here, which should be somewhere over here. 5900X, look at that one. 21,878, and then we are right up there with it, and even better scores. We got like 22,000 over here, which is better than our Intel 16 core over here. Whoa, that is very, very good performance over there. We know that is good. The other thing we can do is a single test, but at the moment I might need to return these RAM sticks because these are not stable. These are going back. Good job we bought them off Amazon, so it's easy to return them and get another stick. Or we might just leave these in there because these are working absolutely fantastic actually. So at this point now I know that everything is working properly. We've got our graphics card drivers, chipset drivers. So if you don't know this, we can go add or remove programs. We can see chipset software. We can see NVIDIA. Let's have a look. Where is NVIDIA? NVIDIA, yes. Graphics driver, experience, yes, we've got that. NVIDIA control panel. We've got everything over here. Patriot Viper, we don't need that. Uninstall this. And then boom, now this system is now ready for installing programs and things. So some of the other benchmarks that I'm usually running is if you want to download Geekbench 5 or Thermark to see how the temperatures work. But at this point, I'm very happy how this system runs. And now it's finally stable with this RAM. We know that that was the XMP profile of this Viper memory. So we're gonna send that back and get the refund for that. So that is all super cool. And this is how I configure this system. Now the last thing to do is to put the panels back on. Okay, and boom, would you look at that? Perfect. We have created an absolute beast from the beginning, from boxes all the way to running through some troubleshoots and then seeing what could be wrong. Why is it not running? Why are we getting blue screens? So there we go. So now hopefully you know how to build this exact system, how to install all the software, how to configure it, how to configure fans, how to make it perfectly ready for all your creative work. And hopefully this shouldn't take you more than few hours or one day of work, and then you can just keep going and get this computer to work on some creative things, video editing and photo editing. Drop anything at it, it's going to be an absolute beast. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. It does make a difference for my channel, helps, you know, the algorithm to help it to find other people who might be interested in the same video. If you want to check out every single specification and parts, like I mentioned again, they will be in the links in the description below. Consider subscribing because more content similar to this is coming out every single week and also on the channel already. So feel free to do that. Hit that subscribe button and bell icon. We'll see you very soon. Thank you very much for being here. Hopefully I helped you create better videos now, be more creative. So thank you very much, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.